75% of the time, he does not make the right decision. So one thing we can all say about Ruben Amorim is that he has solved our defensive issues. We don't leave these big spaces open anymore. Our priorities this offseason in the summer are going to be striker and a attacking midfielder. I still believe that, yes, our priorities have to be addressing the lack of goals. He's really good at moving to different spaces where he can be free of his marker or offer a passing lane to his ball-carrying teammate. But can he do the one thing that Rasmus is proving to be poor at? Can he play with his back to goal and settle long balls? But because he scored a goal, it's considered that he had a good game. Is he worth 40 million? Here's the thing that I want us all to kind of keep in mind or think about, because this is what came up in my mind while I was watching Delap play and starting to get worried about what kind of summer window are we about to have. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me once again. Thank you for clicking on the thumbnail. Thank you for being here to watch this video. I actually did go back and got a chance to watch the Wolverhampton Wolves. I want to keep saying Warriors, man. I said it in the last video and someone made fun of me in the comments. I really want to say Wolverhampton Warriors. The Wolves against Ipswich last week or this past weekend, so that I can watch Delap and see what I see. So I am going to include that in this video. We're going to watch some video footage of things that I saw, things that are on my mind, and we're also going to talk about this summer. I even want to just go into like a recap of everything that's happened so far, why we are here, where we are, and then we'll talk more about summer transfers. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for those of you who hit the like button. I keep forgetting to ask you guys to do that. Please hit the like. I have somewhere around 800 to 1,000 of the same viewers who keep coming to all my videos, but sometimes I don't get more than 120 likes. Guys, if you come and watch my stuff on a regular basis, do me that little favor. Take 5 seconds of your time and hit that like button. Let's get the like counts up. I'd like to get over 250 likes if possible. But I appreciate every single one of you, whether you have time to hit the like button or not. I totally get it. Sometimes I'll watch videos and I'm driving in the car. I can't just stop driving and hit the like button. So I totally understand. But if you can hit the like for me, hit it. Other than that, I also want to say that reminder, on Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. my time in California, I am going to be live on Big Up. So probably when you're watching this, it's a couple hours away. I'm going to be live on Big Up. So come join the conversation. I read as many comments as I can. I probably read all the comments. And if you have a camera and a microphone and you want to get on the actual show and talk to me face to face, come on. Wally, if you're watching this, if you want to come on, man, come on tomorrow or today, probably when you're watching this very soon at 9:30. But I know sometimes it's late in the countries that you guys are from and you might not be able to make it. And I totally understand that. And I appreciate every single one of you, whether you can make it or not. All right, so let's get into the video. Now, we all know we haven't been any good this season. We started the season with a different manager who suffered plenty of losses, mostly because of some bad play on the defensive side of the game. We used to leave a lot of gaps in the midfield and we were susceptible to transitional goals, basically. And that led to his sacking, which he probably should have been sacked last summer. Let's all be real. Even though I was one of those that wanted to keep him around, he probably should have been sacked last summer. And then we also sacked our technical director, probably because he didn't really have many ideas on how to actually change that or fix the situation or the problem we were having. So then come Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox, who are now making the major decisions on the footballing side, and they decide to hire this young manager from Sporting Lisbon, Ruben Amorim, who in a short period of time has proven to the football world that he is kind of a visionary manager. He's new blood. He's someone who can build a squad and win leagues. He did that twice, really, with Sporting, who hadn't won a league in over 19 years or 19 years, something like that. And after he won his first League Cup, they sold off more than half his players and he rebuilt the squad in a different way, even having different strengths, but playing the same system a little bit differently and became even better. Then they were like unbeatable in their own league and won it again. And they were undefeated and mostly on a winning record before we got him in the middle of the season. So if he's so good, even though some of you guys are going to hate his formation and think it's his fault that we're losing so many games or not doing so well, I'm not of that opinion, and this is not the video for that conversation. I made that video before where we talk about his formation and what it is, what he's trying to do. And by the way, some of that has changed. I used to always talk about zone 16 and 18 and diagonal runs to those zones. And you can tell he's kind of given up on the Rasmus Højlund's of our squad trying to make those runs and holding up the ball. At least that's what I'm sensing and feeling the last 3 games. I might be wrong. Maybe the last 3 games we were just kind of against opponents that he wanted to play super safe. So he kept hunkering back and trying to, build the ball up slowly. But he has gotten away from the long ball that he actually likes so much into those corners. I'm going to be very curious to see how we start next season and if that play comes back, because that was such a vital play for the sporting system, the long ball from the center backs. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because we're not seeing Lissandro Martinez right now because he's injured. So we're not doing that play. I don't know. I need to watch a couple more games and see what else he's trying to do, because the system right now is a little bit different than it used to be. But also, it's working a little bit better, I think, because he's not going to count on Rasmus Højlund to try and bring down those long balls. So, getting back to my message before, the reason why I don't think this is working with Manchester United, I think, is just plain to see, even though some fans don't want to face it. But our squad is exactly where it deserves to be right now, in the bottom half of the table. Our so-called best attackers are away on loan. You got Rashford, Sancho, and Antony all playing for other teams, and they're the most expensive attackers that we have on the squad. Imagine taking the 3 most expensive attackers out of any of the top 6 clubs, and then you tell me how many goals you think they're going to score. That is not something that's normal. You take Holland out of City and they don't even score that many goals, and that's just one guy. Can you imagine taking Salah and the 2 other most expensive attackers on Liverpool out of Liverpool, and they might, even though they got this gigantic lead, they might actually end up losing the league to Arsenal or somebody else. So it's not an easy task that Ruben's dealing with. His most highest paid players who are in charge of creating and scoring goals are out of the squad. So the only players he has to count on to do that are young players like Alejandro Garnacho, who, although is highly skillful, brave, he likes to get the ball a lot, which I like these attributes in a young player. But his biggest issue seems to be up here: his brains, his football IQ, the decisions he makes after he gets the ball. 75% of the time, he does not make the right decision. So one thing we can all say about Ruben Amorim is that he has solved our defensive issues. We don't leave these big spaces open anymore in defense. And obviously having an extra center back there does help and make a difference in that. But we still have some midfield issues in the build-up play, and we definitely have forward line issues. And the problem is that even before Ruben came, we've always had midfield issues. Our recruiting department has not done a good job recruiting midfielders, even though some people will back Ugarte and the midfielders we have to the whatever. But they're not really a solution to the problem. And it's also very apparent when the first changes that our manager makes in every game is our midfielders. Ugarte comes off first, then comes off Casemiro or someone else who's playing in the midfield. Guys, I want to take you back a couple of years. It wasn't that long ago where we'd complain about having Fred and McTominay in the midfield and say that they weren't technical enough to be in our midfield. And then we got rid of them and replaced them with Casemiro, Eriksen, and now Ugarte. 2 of those guys don't have legs and can't run. And then the other one, although he's very good defensively, just doesn't offer anything in possession, doesn't offer anything in progressing the ball forward. And that's a real issue. But with that said, I still agree with most of the reports out there. Even James, of the Muppeteer, says that our priorities this offseason in the summer are going to be striker and a attacking midfielder. I still believe that, yes, our priorities have to be addressing the lack of goals. The lack of goals have to be solved this summer, at least half solved, because I believe we need a lot of help in that department, and a good right wing back who actually helps create goals is also a part of the solution, but that just might not be solved this summer, right? We definitely need a striker and an attacking 10. Now, everybody knows that lately we've been talking about Liam Delap, and I even said in my last video that I'm going to watch his game and do it, and I told you guys in the intro of this video that that's exactly what I did. So I do want to talk a little bit about Liam Delap, but before I do that, I want to talk about what the big problem is with Rasmus Højlund and why we need another striker. But the problem with Rasmus Højlund is he's not good at the hold-up play. Keep that in mind, because when I start talking about Liam Delap, that's what I am really looking for. Rasmus Højlund is a decent finisher. He's also very good one-on-one and against opponent when he runs at them. But he's not good with his back to goal. He's not good at settling long balls that are coming towards him. And he's not good at the hold-up play. The other problem is that the reason why we're thinking Liam Delap is probably our number one choice is because Ineos has been showing just exactly how ruthless they can be when it comes to the club's finances. And the financial issue is really the biggest problem or hurdle that's stopping us from getting, surefire great strikers. I mean, these guys have already let go of 400 employees, something like that, or made redundant, or maybe they only did the 250 and they're still going to make the other 150 or 200 that they already announced that they will be making. They stopped donating to certain programs. They are also working on moving some of the fan seats to a different section next season so that they can make more hospitality sections, basically meaning that they can charge more for certain tickets. They have arranged for the team to fly to Hong Kong right after the season's over so they can play in 2 exhibition matches to raise another £8 million for the team. I mean, these guys are really trying to take care of the finances and are very financially motivated in all their decisions that they make. It's obvious, okay? It's obvious that the finances and the financial situation is the number one concern of these guys who are in charge, who are making the calls. Is that good or bad? I don't know. We're going to find out after summer. I'll tell you that much, because we cannot have another season where we are outside of the top 6. I'm really hoping for top 4, but I know that's a little bit might be a pipe dream, but we have to have a solid top 6, not a maybe top 6. I'd like to be like where we're fighting for top 4 and we have a real chance at top 4 all the way to the last month of the season, and then we end up 5th or 6th. I can live with that. But if we're 8th and 9th and we climb our way up to 6th by the end of the season, I don't like that, because that's one horrible season of watching our team only be good enough to be 8th and 9th for most of it. That's going to piss me off. And that's going to be because of the financial reasons. Like, you cannot expect this manager to go up against teams that have a higher wage bill than us. Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself said it in interviews just this past month when he was talking about the new stadium. When he would talk about Ruben Amorim, he would say things like the players that he has at his disposal are the same wages as of a bottom half team. So how can he be expected to perform like a top 4 team when his players aren't worth that caliber of money? And he was right to say that, because how much money your team spends on players is usually a direct indication as to where in the table they're probably going to end up, or at least what 3 places of the table they're going to end up. Now, of course, there's anomalies like us, because we overspend and we don't end up anywhere near the top 3 sometimes, even though we spent the most out of everybody else. That's just because of bad recruitment and bad decision making. I am going off on a rant again, like I always do, so I want to kind of circle us back to where I was trying to go, and that is Liam Delap and what I found when I watched him play this last weekend. So watching Liam play, at first I noticed that he was good at receiving the ball and playing in his teammates or moving the ball around. He actually impressed me for a little while early on in the game. Then I was very impressed with his movement. It's probably like his best trait. He's really good at moving to different spaces where he can be free of his marker or offer a passing lane to his ball-carrying teammate. But can he do the one thing that Rasmus is proving to be poor at? Can he play with his back to goal and settle long balls? Play his teammates in to help get the team out of their own half? I'm not too sure, because he looks to be poor at that as well. Right here, Delap doesn't even settle a ball that looked easy to settle. This started to worry me, so I started watching very carefully to the circumstances that play out just like this one. 6 minutes later, he can't bring down the ball or head it to a teammate, which actually looks easier. I know some of you guys are going to be thinking that wasn't an easy ball to head to a teammate, or it happened so fast. There's a lot of space, and he had a lot of time to look at the ball and spot his teammate and head it to him. I really think he should have been able to do that. And that's not where the problem stopped. Literally 15 minutes after that, Delap dribbles right into traffic. I'm really not happy by this point. And there's this one part where it's not that far later. He falls on the ground just like Rasmus. This starts reminding me of Rasmus doing this. Dude, in the second half, I saw more things that worried me. There's this one play where he has all the space in the world to settle the ball and make a nice normal pass, but he chooses to try a fancy chest flick like he's Ronaldinho, and it was disgustingly way off target. A few minutes later, he gets fed a ball in the middle of the pitch where he has all kinds of space to hold onto it, turn, choose the right pass, but he tries this other fancy back heel flick that ends up being a turnover, and then they get the ball back right away and pass it back to Delap, who then makes an awful touch to try and get around Semedo and basically just lets Semedo have the ball. It goes out of bounds and Ipswich get to keep the ball, but the point is that he's just not making the best touches when his back's to goal, when he's not in possession running at an opponent. Again, Rasmus Højlund type issues. Yes, I did find that he's a little bit better and stronger than Rasmus at staying on his feet, but it's not a major upgrade. Do you get what I mean? Like, I don't know, but listen, it's just one game. It's just one game, but I will be paying attention to Delap more moving forward. But watching this game, I'm just not too impressed. His movement is better than Rasmus Højlund's, that's for sure. He runs the right channels and reroutes early when he realizes he went in the wrong direction. He's good with the ball running at opponents, but is he better than Rasmus at that aspect? I don't really know. We need a striker that can hold up the ball, and he didn't show much of that in this game. If he didn't score a goal, which he did kind of fall to him in front of goal where they left him onside, then he wouldn't have actually had any, like this game, he wouldn't have had a good game. This would have been called a bad game for him. But because he scored a goal, it's considered that he had a good game. Is he worth 40 million? No, not after watching this game. I don't think he's worth 40 million. I am going to pay much more attention to him in the upcoming games to see if he can impress me, or maybe that was just a bad game, and maybe he does have good hold-up play. But I'm going to wait, and I'm going to watch games this weekend, and I'll report to you guys and tell you guys exactly what I see. But with that said, I would feel much better if we went for Osimhen or Gyökeres. But from all the rumors we are hearing, Arsenal are probably going to get Gyökeres, and I'm going to hate that. And Osimhen's looking for a big payday. But why shouldn't he? The man has been scoring goals for more consecutive seasons than Gyökeres and wants to be paid for it, and this will be his last big contract, and I totally understand that. Here's the thing that I want us all to kind of keep in mind or think about, because this is what came up in my mind while I was watching Delap play and starting to get worried about what kind of summer window are we about to have. We all agreed that we didn't want to repeat past mistakes, and past mistakes, one of them was that Erik ten Hag and his recruitment strategies probably kind of led us in the direction we're in now. Don't get me wrong, we've had bad recruitment even before Erik ten Hag, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Erik ten Hag is the reason we don't recruit well. We don't recruit well because we've never recruited well, and every time we change strategies, it went from one bad strategy to another bad strategy, and that was that we're going to bring in all of Erik ten Hag's ex-players that he wanted, right? Here's the thing. We said that we don't want to do that anymore, except this time, I'd be way happier if we got players like Gyökeres, Giovanni Quenda, or even Trincao. But it looks like we're not getting Gyökeres. Quenda went to Chelsea, and Trincao I'm not hearing about anymore. And that's fine. Some of you might say, I don't want to get the manager's ex-players. I don't want to make that mistake again. But isn't it the same problem if the only players we're going after or are being linked with are players that Jason Wilcox has a relationship with? Players that used to play for the Man City Academy, who Man City got rid of, and now Jason Wilcox still remembers them or knows them, so he wants them because he probably spotted them for Manchester City's Academy, and kind of he has this maybe chip on his shoulder that, like, I always thought he was good since he was a kid. We're bringing him in. Because that's what it's starting to feel like to me. Man City or Southampton. I'm starting to feel like we're going after, like, people who are linked with Jason Wilcox in some sort of way. What I would rather have are players that we're looking at and we're linked with because of some scouting. That's why I really get excited when I hear that we're linked with Cunha. Not because I think Cunha is going to be like a game changer for us. I'm actually a little bit worried about his personality or like attitude or whatever, because lately he's had a bad attitude. Hopefully that's just a little thing that he's going through and he doesn't have a bad attitude, especially if we're going to sign him. But the thing is, though, Cunha is not linked with any of our managers or technical directors or whatever. Cunha would be brought in because of scouting, data, data like analysts and stuff of that nature. That's the kind of players I want to sign this summer. Fine. If we're not going to sign ex players of the manager that's currently there, we also shouldn't be signing ex players of our technical director. Does that make sense? Guys, leave it in the comments if you don't agree with me and if you think I'm crazy, but that's just what it seems like to me. It's like, oh, Jason Wilcox spotted them when they were young and brought them to the Man City Academy. Now we want him for Manchester United because this guy, Delap, he is definitely going to be an improvement because his movement is really, really good. I will give him that. He's got a stronger body than Rasmus too. I'll give him that. But he's not that big of an improvement. I don't know. I'm worried. I'll see you guys at the live probably very shortly after you watch this because I'm doing it my time tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. California time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the description of this video and you'll see the link to the live at bigup.com. I also posted it on the community board with the link. It's also on my X. If you follow me on X, I've already posted it on X from yesterday, letting everybody know that I'm going to be live on Big Up on Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. California time, and we can talk some more about this stuff. Guys, hit the like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you soon. Bye.